Hi students, welcome to Alphos e-learning chemistry classes for second year. The running chapter is electrochemistry and now we are in 7th session. Here let us discuss about the variation of conductance of electrolytes. Conductance of electrolytes with concentration. Okay, here first let us recollect in previous sessions formulae related to lambda and mu. Lambda is equal to kappa into V and mu is nothing but it is also equal to kappa into V, but the only difference is in this V volume 1 gram equivalent weight of the electrolyte is dissolved, and whereas in this one 1 mole of the electrolyte is dissolved. That is the only difference. So now concentration, how, let us discuss about that concentration again. Already previously 2 times we discussed, again to make you to understand, because this concentration term what we are using in electrochemistry is not at all related with this liquid solution concentration term. Here again AB is the electrolyte. It is in the molecular form. When it is dissolved in water, it dissociates into A plus and B minus. Now, in liquid solution chapter, concentration means irrespective of whether it is dissociating or not, depending on the number of moles of this electrolyte present, we are providing the concentration. But here, the concentration of electrolyte is measured only with respect to the molecular form existence. In case if it is dissociating into ions, then automatically the concentration of the electrolyte is supposed to be decreasing. Clear? So this dissociation will increase as we are adding more and more solvent. So with adding the solvent, we are making these electrolyte molecules to dissociate into ions, and because of the dissociation of the molecules into ions, the concentration of this molecular form will decrease. So we can consider the concentration of electrolyte will decrease with dilution, and thereby the same variation of conductance of electrolytes with dilution we can consider like that, because dilution and concentration are inversely related. More the diluted, less the concentration, like that. Clear? And now coming to this, here if we observe this formula, when we are diluting this solution or electrolyte by adding more and more solvent, automatically V will increase, and as we know kappa, the cell constant or the specific conductance is fixed, it is a constant value for a given electrolyte, and V with increasing the solvent participation or by increasing the volume of the solvent, automatically V value will increase. So when V increases, automatically both this equivalent conductance and molar conductance will increase. That will happen when dilution is taking place. Now the question is that increase of lambda or mu will increase up to what extent? What is the maximum extent that we can make this electrolyte to increase its conductivity? Is there any limitation or not? Yes, there is a limitation. And now here one more concept what we have to observe is why we are asking or why we are thinking that this AB should not exist when the electrolyte is conducting is the conductance of the electrolyte is not because of the undissociated molecules. It is only because of the ions that are formed from the dissociation of the molecules. So as the that is electrolyte molecular form is decreasing, more number of ions are increasing, automatically the conductance increase. That is reflected here again. As V increase, conductance increase, because as V increase, the number of ions increase, conductance increase. Clear? And this one. And now up to what extent we can imagine this increase? Actually, let us consider for this. It is, if for any electrolyte there will be a stage where all the electrolyte molecules are completely dissociated. Say for example, it is AB is an electrolyte. In the beginning, if we are taking 100 molecules, when it is kept in water, in the beginning all these are in molecular form. In such a case, there is no ionic form, and then here And when we are adding water, this AB form is dissociating and is getting into ionic forms, and slowly as it is coming dissociating, say for example if it is coming to 50, it is 50 and 50, these two are formed, and it is coming to 10, and it is coming to 90 and 90, and then it is coming to 5, these two are 95, because when the existence is 5, the remaining 95 is dissociating. Clear? And like that it will now coming to 0, and then these two ions are 100 and 100. That is the last stage where we can explain the limitation of the conductance. Why? Because it is 100% dissociated. So once 100% dissociation is happened for an electrolyte, the maximum number of ions that can be produced or provided by the electrolyte is reached. And once the maximum number of ions reach, their conductance is reaching to maximum. Are you clear with this one? And now, this conductance, when 100% ionization of the electrolyte is taking place, the conductance on the dilution is known as like this. It is conductance at infinite dilution. Infinite dilution. Why infinite? Infinite dilution doesn't mean we are adding infinite solvent. Just you remember, it is just where the electrolyte molecules are completely dissociated, that is 100% dissociation or ionization happens, then the dilution is said to be infinite dilution by definition. But literal word is not here, it is not the criteria here. Infinite means it is not measurable actually, but here the infinite dilution means only the dilution up to which we can expect the 100% ionization. So the conductance at infinite dilution, how to represent this? Here we are having two different formulae, that is representations are symbols. For infinite dilution, if we are considering the concentration, can you guess what will be the concentration here? Concentration, again don't get confused, concentration actually here two types of concentrations we have to observe. One is nothing but electrolyte concentration, the other one is ionic concentration, and the ionic concentration is reaching to maximum and the electrolyte concentration is becoming 0. So here in both these two terms where the electrolyte concentration becomes 0, that is 100% ionization takes place, then it is said to be infinite dilution. At infinite dilution, concentration of electrolyte is 0. This is the reason why I am always asking you to note that the concentration term here used is quite different from the liquid solution concentration. Here this is present in the solution, but its concentration is taken 0 when its particles, that is ions, are produced completely. Clear? And now, so with this one we can represent this lambda and mu, both these two. At infinite dilution, or when the concentration of the electrolyte becomes 0, that's why if we are considering the dilution, lambda is represented with infinite. Similarly, mu is also with the infinite symbol. And if we are considering the concentration of the electrolyte, concentration is 0, so it is represented with the concentration lambda naught, here also mu naught. That is the reason why we are having two different symbols. You can both mean same, but if you are interested to represent with the dilution, infinite. If you are interested to represent with the concentration, it is like this. Clear? And now this is the concentration representations at infinite dilutions. Now how it is, that is the dilution. At infinite dilution what happens we will discuss, and during the dilution when the electrolyte is slowly diluted, what happens to the conductance? It is maximum extent, maximum conductance is observed at infinite dilution, no doubt at all. But before reaching that maximum, different electrolytes are varying in their conductances, and how that variation is observed. And what type of variation we can observe at different, and that too the conductance is not only the equivalent and molar, and one more conductance is there, that is nothing but kappa. It is nothing but specific conductance. How that specific conductance of the electrolyte is changed, it has to be observed. For that purpose, let us have a discussion on that. That is the effect of dilution on conductances. That is nothing but variation of the conductance with dilution. And now let us observe this kappa. Actually, before entering into the variations of these conductances, first of all we should know few facts. Let us give that fact. This kappa, that is specific conductance, is because of the ions that present per unit volume. And you remember, again I am repeating, the specific conductance of any electrolyte, whether it is strong or weak electrolyte, it is purely because of the ions present in a unit volume. Say for example, for convenience sake, for easy understanding, let us take this unit volume as cm cube or 1 ml, like that, 1 cc or 1 ml. So depending on the number of ions present in that unit volume, the specific conductance will be. Clear? And next, one more is this lambda or mu. These are, that is nothing but the conductance is related to, or it depends on the number of ions that present, present in the solution. Here we are not concerned about the volume restriction is not there. In case of the specific conductance, there is confined volume per unit volume, the number of ions, but here all the total number of ions that present or that exist in the solution are responsible for this molar or equivalent conductance when the electrolyte is dissolved. Clear? And now when with these two, how the one more factor. Clear? And now these ions per unit volume or the number of ions that present in the solution on dilution will also be influenced by the nature of the electrolytes. You know, nature of electrolytes. Again we have to recollect the nature of the electrolyte, as electrolytes are of two kinds. One is strong electrolyte and the other one is weak electrolyte. Strong electrolyte and weak electrolyte. And in strong and weak, already you know, strong is nothing but which undergoes 100% ionization, weak is which never undergo 100% ionization. At any condition it never undergo 100% ionization. Clear? And now let us consider this AB is an electrolyte, and when, say for example, when it is dissolved in water, it is of having, say for example, from this A plus and B minus, these ions are produced, and per unit volume, for convenience sake, for understanding purpose, let us consider, say for example, if it is of having 4 ions per ml when it is dissolved. Clear? And now these 4 ions per ml are responsible for kappa value of that electrolyte. Clear? And now if it is strong electrolyte, strong electrolyte means the electrolyte that undergoes 100% ionization at any dilution. Immediately when it is kept in water, immediately the total molecules will get into ions. So at any dilution, when they are undergoing 100% ionization, these ions further increase, further provision of the ions is not possible from the electrolyte. So at any dilution it becomes 0, and these are in maximum extent. So in such maximum extent, initially we are considering 1 ml is having 4 ions, and now we are making it to dilute. Is there any scope for further increase in ions? No, because already all the molecules dissociated. So if we are making the volume double or 4 times, then say for example, because to understand for the next concept, it is better to make 4 times we are increasing. Clear? And then 4 ions now will present 4 ml. That means we can consider 1 ion is present in 1 ml. So with increasing the dilution, when the solution is diluted, automatically the number of ions per ml of the electrolyte solution is decreasing. That's why kappa value for strong electrolyte decrease. Clear? And now coming to weak electrolytes. Here, in weak electrolyte, the story is different. because this weak electrolyte, for example AB, when it is kept in water, at any dilution it never undergo 100%, that is undergoing 100% ionization at any dilution, whereas in this case we can't make it to go for 100% ionization. So in such a case, why it is not undergoing 100% ionization, already you know, because it is establishing an equilibrium with the dissociated and undissociated molecules. So once equilibrium is established, unless otherwise we are removing one of the product, it is not at all possible to make this reaction to complete. So here it is. And now at a dilution, initial dilution, we are observing that it is of having 4 ions in 1 ml, similar to that 1 ml of solution. And now it is diluted by 4 times, that is now similar to that of case. Here also now we increase the volume by 4 times. And now here, unlike that of the strong electrolytes where further increase in ions are not possible, here the number of ions will increase. Why? Because already it is weak electrolyte. You have to recollect that Ostwald's dilution law. Ostwald's dilution law. As per Ostwald's dilution law, degree of dissociation is proportional to square root of dilution. Degree of dissociation is proportional to square root of dilution. This is the reason why I am considering 4 times of volume. Clear? And now when volume is increasing, automatically degree of dissociation increase, and when degree of dissociation increase, the number of ions will increase. So here we are making this volume to increase by 4 times. Square root of 4 is nothing but 2. So this ions number will increase to 8. Now you observe the difference between these two. Here in strong electrolytes, 4 ions per ml, even after dilution the same 4 ions present in the dilution, and because of this the per unit volume the number of ions decrease and thereby kappa value decrease. But in this case for weak electrolytes, as the dilution increase, the dissociation, degree of dissociation increase, and thereby here, unlike that of the strong electrolytes, in weak electrolytes the number of ions increase. And when, for convenience sake, when we are making the volume to be increased by 4 times, automatically the number of ions will be doubled. And though the number of ions are increased with respect to the dilution, now let us observe the number of ions present per unit volume. Here 4 ions per ml, but in this case 8 ions per 4 ml, that means 2 ions per ml. If you observe here, ions increase, volume increase, ions increase, but still kappa value is decreasing. Why? Because simply the increase in number of ions is less compared to increase in volume. That is the reason where we are getting the number of ions per ml or per unit volume is decreasing. This is the reason why the kappa value is decreasing. So altogether with the discussion we can conclude that the kappa, that is specific conductance, which is of only because of the number of ions present in unit volume, will decrease in both cases, that is in case of strong electrolyte and in case of weak electrolyte on dilution. Clear? And now how this dilution will affect for the equivalent conductance and molar conductance of both weak as well as strong electrolytes, that we have to discuss. Okay, we will continue that one. Okay, after discussing about the effect of dilution on kappa, just we discussed about that. That is for both strong electrolyte and weak electrolytes, kappa will decrease on dilution. Clear? And now it is the effect of dilution on lambda, that is equivalent conductance, and mu, that is nothing but molar conductance. And you remember both these two are affected in a similar manner. That's why you can study when you are having, you understand that what is the effect of dilution on equivalent conductance. The same factor is in operation for the molar conductance also. So you can consider any of these two. Clear? And now as we know kappa is related to number of ions per unit volume. Here it is, these equivalent conductance or molar conductance, these two are not per unit volume. There is no confine in volume, just they are related to number of ions that are present in the solution are responsible for these two conductance. And now how this dilution is affected for this. Now let us first consider this strong electrolyte, and you observe, you follow keenly, because at the end of this I will pose some questions on you. So that's why you keenly observe this, what is happening for strong electrolyte and for weak electrolyte. And now let us consider these strong electrolytes. Strong electrolyte by definition is nothing but any electrolyte that undergo 100% ionization at any dilution. At any dilution it undergoes 100% ionization. So when it is undergoing 100% ionization, then it is said to be at infinite dilution. So at infinite dilution we are of, say for example, this is the example where AB in the beginning molecular formula is 100. After completion of the total ionization, now we are having 200 ions in that solution. We are not concerned about the volume. So these 200 ions are responsible for conductance of the strong electrolyte. In such a case, these two ions, even after reaching this 100% ionization, after getting the maximum extent of ionization where maximum number of ions present, if we are diluting this strong electrolyte, then there is no further provision of the ions. We can't expect any further ions, and thereby it will reach to some saturation. And that means this strong electrolyte will get a limitation in their conductance at infinite dilution. By definition, infinite dilution is nothing but the dilution where the concentration of the electrolyte becomes zero. So at infinite dilution, when the number of ions becomes maximum, then automatically the maximum conductance will appear there. And that means further dilution for these strong electrolytes are not useful in increasing the conductance. It will reach to maximum at this. But unlike that of the strong electrolytes, what is happening in case of weak electrolytes? Weak electrolytes are those which never undergo 100% ionization, because they are establishing an equilibrium between the dissociated and undissociated molecule. Say for example, similar to that, here 100 and these are 0 initially, and when it is diluted, now it is coming to 90, 10, 10, and again it is coming to 85, and it is 15, 15, and so on. It will, on dilution, as per Ostwald's dilution law, degree of dissociation is equal to constant, or it is proportional to root V. So with increasing the dilution, square root of that dilution will provide the degree of dissociation. So like that, in case of weak electrolyte, as the dilution is going on, as and when we are adding the solvent, automatically some solute molecules will dissociate into ions. And you remember, in case of strong electrolyte, we can reach to maximum extent of 100% ionization. And even though on dilution the dissociation increases, at any cost we can't reach this 0, that is nothing but 100% ionization. You remember, you may think that, sir, we are continuously going on lakhs of gallons of water is added, and then the dilution is going on and the dissociation will happen. At any stage it may go for that 100% ionization. You may imagine, only it is imaginary, but practically it is not possible. Why? Because, let me explain that. Say for example, you are continuously adding solvent for this weak electrolyte, and it is continuously going on dissociation like this with this relation and this. At any dilution, if practically you reach that it is 0 and these two become 100, then if it is reached, you may feel that, yes sir, if for this weak electrolyte I reached this 100% ionization, then again you are facing the problem. Now once you reach practically this 100% ionization, it is no more weak, because at any dilution, if 100% ionization takes place, it is by definition considered as strong electrolyte. Are you following that? Weak electrolyte never undergo. If you are making, by your tries, if you are making this to go for 100% ionization, it is no more weak. It is now considered as strong. So, in case of strong electrolyte, there is scope for the measuring this conductance at infinite dilution, because at any dilution it will undergo 100% ionization. But in case of weak electrolytes, it is not at all possible to consider or to make it to go for 100% ionization, and thereby continuously on dilution the conductances are increasing. It's that increase will goes on, because on dilution the number of ions will increase. So with all this, let us conclude this. In case of strong electrolyte, the conductance will increase on dilution to some little extent or to some extent, and thereafter it reaches maximum at any dilution it is. And in this case, as the dilution is going on, the number of ions produced will increase with this relation, and thereby with increasing the dilution, the lambda or mu of weak electrolyte continuously going on to increase. Clear? And now one more concept is here. In case already it is 100% ionized to some extent, say for example it is strong electrolyte. In this strong electrolyte AB, when water is added, this is 100 A plus and 100 B minus ions are just separated. That to that extent I added this water, where 100% ionization takes place. And now actually, as per our definition, after reaching the maximum number of ions, further dilution doesn't affect the conductance of strong electrolytes. Clear? But actually in practice, if we observe, in the beginning the strong electrolyte conductance also increases like this. You may confuse, and that means up to this the number of ions, that is the dissociation, will increase. That's why you are saying no. I am considering that it is at 100% ionization, the conductance is at 100%, but after reaching 100% ionization also, when we are adding some more solute, unlike that of our definition where we are expecting 100% ionization, maximum number of ions, maximum extent of conductance, still on dilution in the beginning the strong electrolytes are exhibiting some sort of increase in lambda or mu, and then at certain dilution now it becomes saturated. The graph appears like this. I'm giving, they will ask to identify the graph for the effect of dilution on strong electrolyte. You may directly consider that there is no effect. You may, if it is a dilution, you may consider it like this, but actually the graph is like this. And in case of weak electrolytes, simply the graph is continuously going on with increase. Dilution, as the dilution increases root V, and it is of considering increase in number of ions and thereby but now the question is, our doubt is, in case of strong electrolyte, why this is happening? Why, even though after reaching 100% ionization, why it is in the beginning increases the conductance and then reaching the saturation? If you are thinking that here when we are adding some more water, that water possessing H plus and OH minus may contribute for conductance like that, if you think, then it is wrong. Why? Because after this reaching to this, even in case if this H plus and OH minus are responsible for this increase, still after reaching this also we are adding this H2O. That means we are still providing H plus OH minus. If these H plus and OH minus are responsible for this increase, here should also it should go on increasing, it should not reach the saturation. That means these are not the conditions. That is, these are not the reason for the increase. One more factor is there. What is that factor? How we can justify the answer? In the beginning it increased. For that purpose we have to consider the interionic attractions. Interionic attractions. Just what I am considering in this case is, I am adding the solvent. I added the solvent slowly till all the AB molecules are dissociating into 100% ionization. Till that I added that solvent. Clear? And when this solvent is completely dissociated, these ions are now very close to each other, and that closeness will create some sort of interionic attraction, and because of that interionic attraction they are unable to move. Because of that attraction it will pull back. Clear? And now as the dilution is going on, the distance between these ions will goes on increasing, and when the distance between the ions are increasing, automatically the interionic attraction will become less and less and less. At certain extent that will become zero. So once the interionic attraction becomes zero, then these ions are free to move at their extent. That's why this is the condition where this interionic attraction becomes zero, and thereafter they are moving their maximum extent, and thereby they are carrying the conductant. That maximum extent will never be exceeded. That is the reason why the graph appears like this. Very clear with this one? And now one more question. In the next coming sessions we will discuss about this. Sir, is it possible to measure the conductance of the strong electrolytes at infinite dilution? Yes, it is possible. This can be measured experimentally. Experimentally we can measure the conductance with the help of Debye-Hackel-Onsager equation. He explained how to measure the conductance of the strong electrolytes in a graphical approach. Clear? And whereas that Debye-Hackel-Onsager equation totally failed in case of weak electrolytes, because here practically it is not at all possible to reach 100% ionization in case of weak electrolytes. That's why it totally failed for this. And thereby one more formula, that is nothing but one more theory, has been proposed by Kohlrausch, and he has formulated, and it is given as Kohlrausch law. And you remember, strong electrolytes conductance can be explained with the Debye-Hackel-Onsager equation, and when it failed, this Kohlrausch law has been proposed, but that Kohlrausch law which is proposed for the purpose of explanation of the conductance of the weak electrolyte is also useful in measuring the conductance of the strong electrolyte. Clear? And what are these Debye-Hackel-Onsager equation, and what is Kohlrausch law, and what are their applications? All these will be dealt in the next coming session. Okay, thank you.